Good morning, John.
Good morning.
This is John McDowell.
Actually, on the 8th of July, which happens to be our instructor B's birthday, it will be 7 years. I was born in Los Angeles. I was, I went to LA High and USC, so all the schools I went to were in Los Angeles. When I was a kid, I went to one elementary school, but I happened to grow up at the same time they made the Santa Monica Freeway.
Wow.
So when they tore down the houses and built the freeway, I lost a lot of friends who had to move because of eminent domain, and I had to change elementary schools. And that was a good thing because my 5th grade teacher was Mrs. Ruth Webster, and she taught me how to read and write and count and spell and all kinds of good stuff.
It's so great that you're an LA native.
Yeah, I'm an LA native. Yeah, I was born so long ago they used to carve our birth certificates in the trees, and then they moved the trees up to the sequoia forest, and mine is way up there. But anyway. I have 3 children. I have a son who has 3 children and a dog. Yeah, and he has 3 godchildren. My son will be 53 years old on the 17th of next month, and he has 3 children, and his wife, who he met in the 5th grade because they used to sit next to each other in elementary school by alphabetical order. And then I have 2 daughters who I made these 2 pieces for, as a matter of fact. My older daughter is a biochemist. That's why I'm giving her the scientifically based equatorial sundial. And then my younger daughter always wanted a dog, but I didn't want to clean up after it, so I told her she could get one when she got old enough to clean up after it. So she bought herself a house last year, and now she has a dog. So I made a portrait of, she calls the dog Cleo, and of course I call it Patra. But anyway, I made a portrait of Cleo for her. So this represents my work from 5 years ago, and this from my most recent learning, my most recent project, with Piece by Piece. God, I've been a very adventuresome person all my life. So I happened to go to Rio de Janeiro. And when I was down there, I was trying to be 25 instead of 65. And I went hang gliding. And I didn't follow the instructions they gave me in the aerodynamics class. And make a long story short, I landed wrong and had a little altercation with the ground. And from what I know, the ground is undefeated, and I ended up with a total of 4 spinal surgeries and 2 hip replacements as a result. So I managed to survive. So when I first had when I had the 4 back surgeries, I was literally bedridden for the best part of a year, and I had a blackout curtain over my over my windows, and I basically didn't see the sun for a year while I was healing. I had tubes coming out of my back and all kinds of stuff, and and I went through all of that. Then after I recovered fairly well from that, thank God I was in great shape when I got hurt. Anyway, after I recovered from that, they replaced both of my hips. So when they replaced my hips, I had to do physical rehabilitation. So it forced me to get out of the bed and see the sun. And that's the day I met you, Luz. I saw you and Jose fit.
It was such a lucky day.
I'm telling you, it was unbelievable. I saw you and Jose, you were polishing up a piece, getting ready to deliver it. And I said, wow, that's beautiful. Where can somebody learn how to do that? And you pointed at Lee, told me to go talk to her. I got over to Lee, and she was doing a beginning mosaics class that day.
That was so great.
And it was B's birthday, and again, that's the anniversary next week on July the 8th. So. God, it's changed my life. First thing that happened is it gave me a vehicle to use creative talents I didn't even know I had. And Lee told Lee told me to draw something. She handed me a piece of sketch pad paper and a pencil. At first, she handed me a regular, #2 pencil, with the red eraser on the top and the whole thing. And she said, draw something. And she gave me some things to look at, and I chose a macaw the first time. So the first stroke I made with the pencil, I didn't like it. So I started to erase it, and she took the pencil with the eraser out of my hand, gave me a little short pencil. She said, just draw what you draw. And when I finished, it turned into, it started looking like, the bird I intended it to be. As a matter of fact, I did the bird from memory. And it looked like the bird I intended it to be. And then she showed me some sketches, and I made a horse, and that turned into a really nice piece of mosaic. And and that's how I got started. God, it's amazing. I've learned, patience for one thing, but I learned to appreciate, beauty and art. It's funny because, again, I've been really lucky in that I've traveled, pretty much everywhere. And for some reason, I was always drawn to museums and that sort of thing, crystal factories, all kinds of stuff I went to without any idea that, I had an artist inside of me. So once I ran into Piece by Piece, it brought out the fact that, I had been an artist and I had taken, thousands of pictures. So I knew how to frame things, and all of that I brought into Piece by Piece. But when I was introduced to, the mosaic part of it, rather than just painting, for instance, or sketching, it made a huge difference because it gave me a way out of that terrible depression I was in. So the main thing that Piece by Piece has brought me is the ability to appreciate, life and beauty and all of those sort of things that I kind of took for granted. Well, fortunately, I've had an incredible life. I've seen so much. I've been so many places that I have a virtual wellspring of creativity that's inside of me. So when I'm exposed to different thoughts and actions, especially in the Zoom classes, over the course of the time during the pandemic, we were off and we would do Zoom classes. So I learned a lot of techniques, just hands off, but just by learning academically, to add to what I had learned how to physically do, as a, in the course of Piece by Piece. But what inspires me to, this is now I have grandchildren and, and that sort of thing. It gives me a reason to keep them bright and active and, and to give gifts. I mean, everything I've done so far has been a gift, and because of the skills I've learned, I've decided that, I'll join the Piece by Piece movement and start doing things to put into the inventory and sharing, with the world, if someone happens to like what it is I'm doing, or because I know they like what it is we're doing. So now I'm inspired by my talent, my newly discovered talent, you and the rest of the faculty and the other students, and I'm just bursting with inspiration. Made all the difference in the world because that gave me a place to be something I had to do, and I always work best when I have assignments, rather than being left to my own devices. So having that schedule of those 2-hour, sometimes 3-hour classes on Zoom, attached me, kept me attached to the program. And again, because of the instructor, Ellen Dennerman, for the, mostly she did most of the classes, but we had guest speakers and other people who gave us instructions on design and grouting and using the Hammer and Hardy, for instance, which is a new skill I've discovered and I think I'm going to concentrate on. But just the techniques were taught to us, and I didn't have a place to actually do anything. So, basically, I just absorbed. Well, one wonderful thing is I get to practice speaking Spanish, because after 4 years of Spanish and, having worked in Mexico and Puerto Rico playing baseball, I was exposed to a lot of Spanish. But, now that I work with Hilda, for instance, or, a lot of the other participants, it gives me an opportunity to expand my, my world that way. And then also I have, I just, the idea that we're just knowing the other artists and dealing with the instructors and, and God, it's just, it's just amazing. Our instructors are the nicest group of smart women I've ever seen in my life. So, and I have 3 brilliant sisters and a smart mother. So, God welcome. I mean, it really makes a difference. So, I'm just trying to hold up the guy end of this stuff. So. Okay, how about fantastic? No. How about wonderful? No. It changed my life. It made me a better person. I'm what I say to myself, when I look in the mirror and so I said, God, I'm almost me again. Because again, in my life, I've been very, very fortunate in my experiences and my, and the people I've known, the places I've gone, the things I've seen. Been really fortunate, and those things are opening up again. Yeah, well, just that. It's made my life better. It's given me something, a reason for being, as if I didn't need that before. Well, specifically when I was in the hospital and they were doing all these surgeries and stuff, at first, when I first had the major trauma, I lost feeling in my legs. And, when I was going into surgery, I said, God, can I see myself without legs at all? And I thought about it. I said, I wouldn't like it, but I could see that. I said, God, can I see myself without, arms? And I thought about that, and I even got to a point where I said, God, can I see myself without a heart or a brain? But for some reason, and, because I've always had a spiritual part of me anyway, I just couldn't imagine myself not being. So, so I'm just trying to keep on being. And so my goal these days is just wake up every day. And because I have so many projects now with Piece by Piece, it gives me something to do for the next probably 6 or 8 months. Because so Piece by Piece has changed my life and made me, I won't say a better person, but well, I just break it down to that. I'm almost me again, and that's a wonderful thing. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, John.